Thank you so much. Let's call to order. I'm going to call to order the April 23rd, 2020 public hearing for charter applications. The time now is 2:07 p.m. May I have a roll call?
Yes, Mr. Ashley.
Present.
Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown.
Trying to unmute. I'm here.
Miss Ellison.
Here.
Mr. Cleben.
Here.
Mr. Koppel.
Present.
Mr. Marshall.
Here.
Miss Newell Houston.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Interpretation services are available during today's meeting. I'm going to yield to our interpreters at this.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Rebecca Fleming. I'll be your Spanish interpreter this afternoon. Muy buenas tardes a todos. Quería avisarle que si quieren servicios de interpretación al español, marquen por teléfono 978-990-5000 y ponen código de acceso 707717 más la señal de número. Repito, 978-990-5000 y el código de acceso es 707717 más la señal de número. Gracias.
Hello everyone. Xin chào toàn thể quý vị. Cảm ơn quý vị đã tham dự buổi họp trực tuyến. Tôi tên là Việt, tôi là thông dịch viên. Nếu quý vị cần giúp đỡ vấn đề thông dịch xin cho tôi biết. Số điện thoại của tôi là 504 256 2774 504 256 2774. Cảm ơn. Thank you. I would yield back to Mr. Ashley.
Thank you so much. Let's move to 1.2, Pledge of Allegiance. If my board members can unmute their lines at this time and follow me with stating the pledge.
Pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of
Flag.
the United States
United States
of
of
America,
America. To
which
the republic.
stands
One nation.
One nation.
under God,
Under God.
indivisible,
Indivisible.
liberty and justice
For all.
for all. Thank you. Let's move to 1.3, adoption of the agenda. Do we have any deletions, modifications, additions to the agenda? Hearing
None.
none, may I have a motion?
Move to adopt the agenda as printed.
I have a motion by Mr. Koppel. Do I have a second?
Second by Ellison.
I have a second by Ms. Ellison. I'll yield to board counsel for a roll call vote.
Mr. Ashley.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Present.
Miss Ellison.
Yes.
Mr. Cleben.
Yes.
Mr. Koppel.
Yes.
Mr. Marshall.
Yes.
Miss Newell Houston.
Yes.
The agenda is adopted.
Thank you. At this time, I'll yield to board counsel for round 2.1, purpose of the hearing.
Dr. Peterson.
Good afternoon, Chairman Ashley, Superintendent Lewis, and members of the board.
Hey, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm waiting for the presentation to load so that we can review the purpose of the hearing and prepare you all for tonight with our charter applicants.
Great, thank you.
Mhm. Thank you all for bearing with us through that technical difficulty. So starting out for our public hearing tonight, the purpose of the public hearing tonight is to make sure that we have public input with regards to applications to operate Type 1 charters in Orleans Parish. I'd like to note that we did have 6 charter applicants that were eligible in the beginning of our process that completed eligibility determination forms, and we received 2 full application submissions, and therefore tonight we have 2 applicants for you in the public hearing. Type 1 New Start being Generation Success, and Type 1 Transformation, Communities Academies of New Orleans. This hearing is being held and pursuant to the requirements of the charter application process put out by Louisiana Department of Education. Significant dates throughout this process, our application was released on January 6th. Letters of intent for the 17th, eligibility determination forms being submitted on the 17th. The full application was due on March 6th. On Tuesday, our charter applicants just completed their capacity interviews, and tonight we hold the public hearing meeting. You'll see the following dates below. All of these things will occur, leading to the superintendent's recommendation coming before us May 14th. Additional significant dates to note. Again, May 14th at the school board meeting is when the superintendent's recommendations regarding Type 1 applicants will be presented. The June 11th school board meeting is a deadline for any school board action, taking into consideration the superintendent's recommendations. July 24th, and this date has been extended due to COVID-19, is a deadline for any applicant to appeal to BESI. The procedures for tonight for our applicants: each charter applicant will have 5 minutes to speak to the OPS board and public. The applicants had an opportunity to submit a PowerPoint presentation if desired. The board members may ask the charter applicants questions upon the completion of their presentation. And upon the conclusion of all of our applicant presentations, public comments will commence. Rules of our public hearing to reiterate: the items, in this case, our public comments for the charter applicants. Each person will be permitted to speak for a limited amount of time, being 2 minutes. Participants wishing to address the board must complete and sign the public comment card, and those directions were given at the start of the meeting related to the virtual setting. A couple of other ones that I'll highlight is any group or organization wishing to address the board to designate one person to be its spokesperson. All comments shall be directed to the chairperson. No person may address, question, or board members individually. Participants shall conduct themselves in a decorous manner and refrain from making comments that are threatening, harassing, abusive, obscene, antagonistic, frivolous, or off topic. As we move into, again, reiterating our instructions for video conference public participation, please making sure that we follow these for the public participation and the public comments component of tonight's, for this afternoon's public hearing. At this time, we will move on to the next component of the agenda. I'll wait for Stephanie, as we will begin moving into our chartered applicants to present to you. First, we have Communities Academy of New Orleans.
Thank you, Dr. Peterson. Board members, Chairman Ashley, Superintendent Lewis, and community members, good afternoon. I'm Mary Alice King, CEO of Community Academies of New Orleans, or CANO, as you'll hear me refer to it. Next slide. Today, I want to give you context to our unique, complex situation, which begins in January of 2019, when the ED of Choice Foundation retired. Next slide, Dr. Peterson, please. In that moment, the Choice Board envisioned the future of its most viable paths forward. The good news was that the organization was financially and organizationally healthy and had established a legacy in New Orleans of recruiting, retaining, and developing locally grown teachers and leaders. Both schools in the network had a history of offering nurturing, high-quality instruction to special student populations, in particular Esperanto English learners. However, the organization was in the middle of a crisis resulting from the asbestos remediation occurring in their flagship building. Thus, the board of directors began a national search for an AD that could thrive in New Orleans and move the organization out of crisis and into its next stage. That's when Choice found a partner in Foundation Preparatory, an organization whose values, unique student population, and vision for student learning mirrored theirs. Board members walked through the halls of Foundation Prep and found a school full of staff committed to their craft and trying to respond to the trauma many students carried with them. Students read in pairs, worked on math in groups, and independently worked on work. Students identified identity with curriculum and the artwork on the walls and in the conversations with their teachers. Foundation Prep had spent a better part of the year preparing to offer its programming for students to be approached in the Cypress Academy. As the head of school, I had applied and been accepted to the Kellogg Foundation CLN Fellowship and the Charter School Growth Fund ACM Fellowship to support in the foreseeable expansion of our organization, while purposefully simultaneously distancing myself from the day-to-day operation by hiring a principal. Foundation was ready to expand at the same time that Choice was in search of a leader that could push them through the crisis and into the new decade. Next slide, please. This was all over a year ago, and we're now months away from the end of Kano's interim year. Rather than seek a leader from outside of New Orleans, our board agreed that the best path forward would be to combine the best elements of both organizations to create community academies, a CMO that would lead their schools together. This is a creative solution that took advantage of local talent, resources, perspective, and human capital already at both organizations. We have run new campaigns as of last June, and through a service agreement with Choice Foundation have made large academic gains this year with all of our schools. We implemented LDA recommended Tier 1 curriculum in each classroom at all of our school buildings. Teachers have been trained this year on the implementation of this rigorous curricula and have spent time digging into and analyzing data to ensure that we're reaching all of our students. Because of this, we have seen in our formative assessments an upward trajectory. We have also hosted a plethora of community events and made over 10 community partnerships for the Dunbar site, which will host a community school. Our mission is to cultivate schools that nurture students' character and critical thinking, ability, and responsive learning environment, thereby equipping them to be impactful community leaders. With a vision of being a system of exemplary schools deeply influenced by our students, our families, and our communities, with graduates who are committed to being community advocates and leaders. Next slide, please. We see community academies as a necklace, and each school is a gem in that necklace. What keeps the necklace together is the strong operations, finances, and our curriculum support that will come from the CMO. What makes the necklace beautiful is our gems, our unique schools, each responsive to their unique communities. Next slide, please. We do not take for granted the talent, passion, and endurance required to lead schools to offer our most vulnerable populations the education that makes them right. We also believe that transformational change and progress does not require volatility. In fact, at a time of much volatility and uncertainty, we have worked as many communities, one organization. We have ensured that all of our families are fed, our students are continuing to engage in an excellent, rigorous education remotely, and our communities are well and safe. We were able to do the incredible team that we have assembled at the C-suite level, and next slide, please, at the board of directors level. Next slide. As for me, I'm a first-generation Afro-Latina. I moved to the United States when I was 10, and I didn't speak any English. I know what it's like to walk into a classroom and not understand what is being said. I know what it's like to have to navigate a system that does not come naturally to you. So many of our students at community academies could face this, but instead, this understanding has driven decisions that have created space and place for all of our students. I see myself in them, and they see themselves in me. It is for all of them that we must not just survive, we must thrive. And we look forward to doing that starting on July 1st. Thank you for your time and your attention on this rainy Thursday afternoon, and I welcome any of your questions.
Thank you, Mary Alice, for your presentation. Any questions from board members? Mr. Marshall, please turn your mic on. There you go.
I would like to know how would this, if we accept this, how would this impact the existing contracts with those organizations?
Thank you, Mr. Marshall, for the question. We are in the middle of running RFPs for contracts like janitorial services, food services.
Let me make sure you understand my question. My question is not for you and your organizations. The question is basically for the superintendent. Is so how does that impact the contracts we have with the existing organizations for these schools that we're talking about? Would this be a new contract with you? Everything starts over from zero, or the evaluations and everything proceed from as they are now? I don't know when these contracts are when the contract renewals for the existing organizations. How does that impact those existing contracts?
I could answer that, or I'm sorry, what did you say?
Dr. Lewis?
Yes, I'm actually going to yield to Dr. Peterson to actually go ahead and answer that question for Board Member Marshall.
Yep. So, Mr. Marshall, the application that Community Academy of New Orleans has placed related to the operation of Foundation Prep, Lafayette, and Esperanza. Foundation Prep, as you know, just completed their renewal cycle. And so with any of the schools, this would be a new contract. If they were granted the opportunity to be approved, this would be a new contract because they would be a new operator. So no longer would they have a contract between the Foundation Board and the Choice Board, but Community Academy of New Orleans would have a new charter operating agreement with Orleans Parish School Board. And thus that term would be new for those schools that they would choose to operate.
Thank you.
Anyone else? If not, I'll turn it back to Dr. Peterson for the next group, 3.2.
Next, we will have Generation Success.
Oh, sorry about that. I was having issues with the mic and camera. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ari Goldfarb, and I'm the Vice Chair for Generation Success, the nonprofit that will open Generation Success Academy with your blessing and the public support. It is an honor and a privilege to speak with you all today. I am deeply passionate about this work and our community's needs for our programming. Next slide, please. In 2018, only 8% of exceptional learners, or what is classically known as special education, and ELL learners passed the LEAP test at the basic level. We believe that to be an unnecessary toll on our community, and we want to offer a solution. Traditionally, our programming has worked with a population of 60% exceptional learners, and we have seen major gains in our 8 pilots since 2015. Chief among our results is an average growth rate of 2.5 years in 1 year annually. Next slide, please. Here's the model. We believe in every student and every gift. That is our admission policy. Empowers students to find and cultivate their unique gifts because everyone has them, and work to make sure that our community has one amazing future. Our instructional model has 4 key elements: flexible aged classes, social emotional learning, project and inquiry-based learning, and an advisory model that allows for college or career graduation pathways. Because of our commitment to be the social emotional development of our students, we also have a therapy dog program with an AKC trained and bred dog. Her name is Maxine. I believe the next slide actually has a picture of her. Yep, there she is. As you can see, she's AKC trained, therapy certified, and absolutely adorable. Next slide, please. Here are our results. As we mentioned above, our results from 8 pilot studies, including a NORD teen career and enrichment camp, which worked with high school age teens from all over the city, are quite impressive. 100% of our participants showed results in ELA, math, or both. From the NORD summer program, students grew by an average of 38% on pre and post Edmentum benchmark assessments in ELA and 42% math using the same battery. 33 adult learners have earned their GEDs after working with our adult learning 6-week classes, and our students shown from 1 to 2.5 scaled score measure increases on the AERQ. For those of you unfamiliar, AERQ is the Adolescent Emotional Regulation Questionnaire. It's a third-party, nationally normed and validated scale that measures the emotional regulation abilities of adolescents aged 9 to 18. So where are we today? It's the final slide, please. Today, Generation Success is still supporting the needs of our community, even in the absence of formal contracts. We're still offering office hours. We're still offering community voice, tutoring for our students, and online classes. We honor our commitment to help students on a daily basis, and I now yield to the board for questions.
Are there any questions from my board members regarding the presentation at this time? Hearing none, I think we can move to public comment.
Yes, we have a number of public comment cards and submit in support of the Academy of New Orleans. We'll start with Stephanie. First speaker is Amanda Aiken. And Ms. Aiken, following.
Wait.
If we can, remember just to be muted on our side.
Hello.
Hey there, Ms. Aiken.
Hi. Good afternoon, Board Chair Ashley, Dr. Lewis, members of the board, and everybody else who's on there. My name's Amanda Aiken. Address is 510 Warrington Drive, New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm here to comment on behalf and for support of Community Academy. As you all may know, I am very well versed with all of the schools and the leaders involved. And I think now is definitely the time for the board to move forward to embrace this creative solution. I'd like to highlight and thank Mrs. King for always stepping up and ensuring that the children of New Orleans are supported, specifically through times when the schools turn to a time of crisis. This is not the first time that she has supported children. Foundation Prep, as she highlighted, also supported the transition of students with Cypress. Being very well versed on the situation that happened with Choice Foundation is critical and important that the district is able to provide the families of those schools with a solid solution of people that are representative of them and people that are from the community. I think it's wonderful that Mrs. King and her senior leadership team represent and understand the needs of the community. And it's important that that is a priority as we authorize schools. So I'm just commenting today in full support of them, knowing Mrs. King as I was her teacher leader coach over 10 years ago. I believe that this is an excellent path forward for all the schools involved. And I thank her and the rest of her team for her work. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Aiken.
Thank you, Ms. Aiken. The next speaker is Allison Mills.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, Ms. Mills.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair and Board, for making this hearing possible and also for continuing your important work during this trying time. I am the current chair of Community Academies for New Orleans, and I'm also a former member of the Choice Board of Directors. The two organizations discovered each other over a year ago. The attraction was immediate. The two organizations, as you've heard, complement each other very much. They serve similar student populations. They are committed to the communities they serve in similar ways. Since we officially formed this partnership last summer, we have worked as one blended team, forward-facing, and together we have offered more to our students and our communities than we could ever have done alone. So we are very excited about our future. We thank you for your consideration of our application, and we hope that you approve us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mills.
The next speaker is Earl Williams. Mr. Williams, or if you're present, can you please raise your hand so I can unmute you? Okay, if Mr. Williams is not present, the next speaker is Hans Johansson.
Hello there. I'm Hans Johansson. I am the treasurer of Choice Foundation and we're with treasurer of Community Academies of New Orleans. And I also happen to be an alum of Lafayette. We have been working with Mary Alice over the past year. We are very excited about the opportunity for all of us going forward. She brings leadership style that is very refreshing and has wealth of knowledge about the communities that we serve. We feel that we have a terrific team going forward. Our board is working so well together, and it is a joy to be part of that. And I want to thank the board for entertaining our request and hope that you'll see fit to approve this joining of two terrific organizations. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
I believe that Mr. Earl Williams is present. Mr. Williams, can you state your name and address, please?
Earl Williams. I live at 9005 Olive Street in New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm the community liaison with Community Academies of New Orleans. I'm an ordained minister and a member of the City of New Orleans Alcoholic Beverage Control Board. I am a lifelong resident and indigenous community leader, not only in the Holly Grove neighborhood, but also citywide. I'm a proud Dunbar alum. I attended Dunbar. For those who, many of you are aware, that Dunbar has been the epicenter of education in Holly Grove spanning nearly 80 years. But for the activism of the Dunbar Education Committee, Dunbar would not be present. Dunbar was slated to be demolished and not rebuilt, but for the efforts of the Dunbar Education Committee, who pleaded with the Louisiana Department of Education, Dunbar was not only demolished, but rebuilt. Esperanza Charter, one of our charter schools, has one of the highest Latina populations in the city. and is a top gain school. Foundation Prep is one of the most successful startup schools, charter schools in New Orleans. As Mrs. King alluded to, we have a plethora of community citywide partnerships in Holly Grove and throughout the city, included but not limited to Holly Grove Neighbors, Holly Grove Gardens, and other community organizations. These partnerships underscore the breadth, length, height, and depth of our community citywide partnerships, and underscores and is congruent with our mission for Cano Community Academies to become the premier community-based charter in the city. It is on this basis that we humbly beseech this honorable committee to approve the charter application for Community Academies of New Orleans.
Thank you, Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Next speaker is Anthony Carter. Mr. Carter, if you could please state your name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is Anthony Carter. I reside at 1234 Mandeville Street here in New Orleans. I am currently the vice chair of the board for Choice Foundation. And in addition to all the reasons everyone has given so far why we're asking this board to approve this venture, I think the most important is that in order for school choice to truly work, we must offer all students quality schools and in communities that support the efforts of the organization. Both Foundation Prep and Choice Foundation have held this to be significant values for their organizations. We have always held that it was most important that we not only serve our students, but their families and the communities from which they come. We have striven through the years to assure that we're offering the most correct and the highest level of curriculum, along with being knowledgeable and aware of the social circumstances of our children and the cultural issues that they all face. I believe that this combination of the two organizations under the umbrella of Cano is the best method forward to bring all of the talents and skills and our true mission forward and into fruition. I strongly support the efforts, and I ask that this board give us their approval so that we may move forward and continue to be even more successful as an organization. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carter.
Next speaker is Margot Phelps.
Good afternoon. I'm Margot Phelps, and I live at 1416 Valmont Street. I have served on the Choice Foundation board and am onboarding to Cano. Being involved with this charter application process has been extraordinary. Mary Alice King and her team are experienced, dedicated leaders who tackle each task with integrity, passion, and teamwork. The Cano board, comprised of Choice Foundation and Foundation Prep board members, is a diverse group of individuals who bring expertise, leadership skills, and knowledge. We have worked together with Cano organizational leaders in this virtual new world to create and cultivate a system of exemplary schools. I am proud to endorse Cano's charter application. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Phelps.
Next speaker is Carling Dinkler.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, if you could please state your name and
okay, great.
address.
Yes, good afternoon, Chairman Ashley, members of the board. My name is Carling Dinkler. I live at 2437 Fern Street in New Orleans, and I am in the neighborhood surrounding a number of the schools. I've gotten the chance to work with Mr. Williams, who's a leader at Dunbar through the Preservation Resource Center on which I am on the board, and the Tulane Dunbar Holly Grove Community-Based Research Project to research the history of the Holly Grove neighborhood. I wanted to come on today to just express my public support for the Communities Academy of New Orleans charter application and my work with Mr. Williams. I believe that this represents an excellent opportunity to advance education in our city.
Thank you, Mr. Dinkler. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Wendy Lodrig.
Wendy Lodrig, 8215 Pritchard Place, New Orleans, Louisiana. Good afternoon, board members. My name is Wendy Lodrig, and I'm a longtime member of the Choice Foundation Board. I'd like to express my full support for this partnership for Community Academies of New Orleans. I believe that Mrs. King and her leadership team will raise the school levels at Foundation Prep, Lafayette, and Esperanza to the next level, and I ask that you support their application and support this partnership. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lodrig.
Next speaker is Angel Delarge.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Sorry about that. Angel Delarge, 3996 Lenox Boulevard, New Orleans, Louisiana. Good afternoon, Board Chair Ashley, Superintendent Lewis, board members, and applicants. As a parent, community member, and professional with 15 years in public education, I support the approval of the Charter for Community Academies in New Orleans. They have worked to transform their individual organizations to community academies, and the board and leadership have focused their priorities around ensuring a community focus, utilizing Tier 1 curriculum, developing trauma-informed strategies. They have also ensured that their organization has diverse leadership, which we know is important to have better representation for our students and the communities they belong to. These are all topics that our communities have highlighted as necessary to the success of all students, and I believe this is an opportunity to support the type of holistic education students need. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Large.
Next speaker is Greg Brown.
This is Greg Brown, 1019 Webster Street. I'm a relatively new member of the Choice Foundation Board, but I've been extremely impressed with the work, the preparatory work that's been done over the last 9 months in getting this application ready. And I would respectfully ask the committee to approve the application. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Next speaker is James Fulton.
Good afternoon. My name is James Fulton. I currently reside at 2208 Dublin Street in New Orleans. I currently serve as the interim CEO of Choice Foundation. I have been employed with Choice since July of 2007. I will also be serving as the CFO for Community Academies of New Orleans. I am in full support of our partnership with Cando, and I'm excited about the educational opportunities in store for our students and our families. Thanks in advance for your support.
Thank you, Mr. Fulton.
Thank you. Next speaker, Dee Dee Green.
Good afternoon. My name is Dee Dee Green. My address is 6361 Pauline Drive in New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm here today to support the charter application for Community Academies of New Orleans. I'm a former resident of Holly Grove. I also serve on the board of the Holly Grove Neighbors Association. I'm the area program director for the American Friends Service Committee's Piece by Piece New Orleans program. Piece by Piece manages a community garden space at 8729 Olive Street in Holly Grove, and we've been hosting a free summer camp in the neighborhood for the last 4 years. Since 2017, Piece by Piece has been in ongoing conversations with Mr. Earl Williams, Community Liaison Director for the Choice Foundation, about developing a partnership between Paul L. Dunbar Elementary and our Sustainable Communities Garden Program. I met with Mr. Williams and school leader Mrs. King last fall, where we agreed to work with Dunbar to build a schoolyard garden on its campus. We have drafted a memorandum of understanding, and we have agreed to provide staff to support a gardening program at the school. While I'm not a part of this specific piece of neighborhood history, I understand that residents fought very hard to make sure that Dunbar reopened in Holly Grove following the devastation of Hurricane Katrina. It appears that the current school leadership is making a strong effort to create both an exemplary educational experience for a very deserving group of students, many of whom are residents of the community, and a neighborhood institution that serves as a resource for the larger community. Granting Community Academies of New Orleans a charter further promotes its work to offer the best education the classroom and community can provide. I wholeheartedly endorse this application and encourage the board to approve this charter. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Green.
Next speaker is James Swanson.
Good afternoon, board members. Thank you very much for your consideration of this application. My name is James Swanson. I am the current board chairman of the Choice Foundation. I live at 1240 Esplanade Avenue. Choice has been a historically strong local charter organization that has operated Lafayette Academy and Esperanza, both of which at times have been among the highest functioning schools in the city. When it came time for us to do a search for a new executive director, we conducted a national search and got a number of strong candidates. It was during this process that the board was approached by New Schools New Orleans that we might consider an opportunity that was different than the path that we had embarked upon, and that was to consider whether we should enter into an arrangement where we combined the resources of Foundation Prep and the schools that we operated. That was a natural fit because the schools have similar constituencies, and the board did a great deal of due diligence in undertaking to decide whether this was a thing that we wanted to pursue. We spent a great deal of time with Mary Alice King. I have spent a great deal of time with her during this process. She has incredible credentials. She is passionate. She is energetic. And she is obviously the right person to lead our organization. We've spent a lot of time with the organization of the new Cano, and we feel confident that the combination of that organization and the leadership of Mary Alice King, that this is the very best thing that we could do for the schools that we operate. And so I'd ask you very, very sincerely to approve the charter application.
Thank you, Mr. Swanson.
Thank you. Speaker is Christine Rosales Fajardo.
Hello?
Yes, Ms. Fajardo, can you?
Hi. Yes. Good afternoon. My name is Christiane Rosales Fajardo. My address is 5112 East Nemours, New Orleans, Louisiana 70129. I am the CEO of El Pueblo Nola Village. I am on this call, and I thank y'all for the opportunity to speak. I would like to endorse Kano application for the charter. I personally know Foundation Prep work because we have enrolled numerous of students in that school, and the parents has asked me to speak out in favor of the Foundation Board, the Kano Board running the new schools. We love the way that the school has wholeheartedly loved our community, especially to everything that's happening right now with the continuously support of food, continuously concern individual concerns for our family, and also making sure that our families are okay and have all the necessary needs that our children at this time needs. That meaning teacher love, support from the administrator, like everyone has been reached out to. And I think that's really important. It shows the true color of what the school is doing and how they've been doing. I wish that they were more in my neighborhood and taking over some of the schools that I publicly have been struggling with. But I really believe that this is the path, that if we're going to have schools in our city, this is the type of schools that we need to have in our city, not only with the academic backing that they have, but also with the heart that they have and the love that they have for our children. And I think that's really important. And as an advocate that always feel like I'm always fighting against the school system, this is to say that I will always be very fair and open to make sure that our children have the best. And for me to endorse the school, I truly believe that Kano is the best option that we have for our city at this time.
Thank you.
Next speaker, Kathleen Whalen.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Kathleen Whalen. I live at 4440 Franklin Avenue. I am currently here representing Make Music NOLA in support of community academies. Make Music NOLA is a youth-serving music program that partners with schools and actually does work in the communities as well. We've been working with Lafayette at Dunbar for the past 4 years. It's been an extremely successful program. We've had over 40 students in violin and cello. Many of the students continue with our program in the community at the Bell Center, which is a testament to the commitment of the staff at Dunbar. And we really look forward to continuing this partnership and expanding it with communities academies. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Patrick Dobard.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, Superintendent, board members, Patrick Dobard, New Schools for New Orleans, 1555 Poydras. I want to thank you all for taking this up today. And as Jim Swanson mentioned, we did the initial introduction of Mary Alice to Jim, and then subsequently just helped to facilitate those conversations and the work that's been done thus far. And so we really appreciate all of the efforts of both Choice Foundation and Mary Alice's team to come forward with Kano. We really would ask that you as a board and superintendent approve this charter and approve this application, and really looking at it from the lens of Mary Alice, as she mentioned, her Afro-Latin roots. This is a true epitome of estamos todos juntos, that we're all together. I don't think you could wish for or hope for a better community effort. We've been hearing a lot about wanting to have more community schools. You've heard diverse people come forth today to speak to this school. This is a change even from the NSNO's portfolio strategy, where we didn't look to bring in maybe a new operator to grow a grade at a time. There's a time and a place for that. We took an existing leader, paired it with an organization that was in the midst of a search, and now took basically two entities and making them, again, stronger together. estamos todos juntos. And so I want to stress that, because if we want to have the diversity that we often talk about, I believe we have to focus on entities like this and give all the resources and all the support and all the love we can in order to make sure that they're successful. And so we really look forward to you supporting them and approving this at the appropriate time. And we look forward to continuing to supporting the work for all of our young people in these schools and other schools throughout the city. So we thank you. We thank you for taking this up, and we look forward to a favorable conclusion so that they can move forward and continue to serve our children well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dobar.
Next speaker, Brooke Wyatt.
Hi, my name is Brooke Wyatt. I reside at 3519 Desai Boulevard. Thank you to the chair and board for hearing from us today. In January 2019, our board began the process of considering this unique partnership with the Choice Foundation Board, birthing what we now know as Community Academies of New Orleans. As Foundation Prep Board Chair and member of the Gentilly community, I am proud to support Ms. King and her dedicated team in this new venture, both for the betterment of our schools and the communities they serve. Combining as one under the Kano leadership means greater access to resources, as well as the opportunity to bring together the experiences of our collective communities, offering up the support and stability sought out through day-to-day services and education offered to our students, as well as support services for our families. This has already been proven through our most recent collective efforts to have each of our schools up and running as one of 7 feeding sites for students and families on March 16th. Not only did we succeed, but we took it one step further, thinking proactively about how to support our families as a whole, partnering with stakeholders to offer healthy, reheatable dinners to families with limited income or increased economic hardship due to the COVID restrictions. This is just one of many examples. We believe Ms. King is a proven, fearless leader in her fight for equitable and sustainable education for our students and families. And I hope that our charter application and hearing the testimony of so many here today will create believers in you as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Watt.
Next speaker, Lisa Richardson.
Good afternoon, Chairman Ashley. Can you hear me?
Certainly. Good afternoon.
Thank you. My name is Lisa Richardson. I reside at 2820 DeSoto Street in New Orleans. I am the Chief Impact Officer at the Institute of Women and Ethnic Studies, and I would like to publicly support this charter application of Kano. As a nonprofit organization, the Institute has had the pleasure of working very closely with Ms. King and her team for several years at Foundations Prep. And in that work, we have supported her deep commitment to addressing the well-being and social emotional learning of her students. She has demonstrated extraordinary effort to increase student access to culturally competent and trauma-informed services while meeting their educational needs, to providing ongoing professional development and training in trauma-informed interventions for her entire staff, and for engaging parents in the behavioral interventions and supports that are offered during the school day. Her commitment has really been unparalleled, and as an organization that does this work throughout the city, we've worked with dozens of schools since the disaster of 2005 to provide trauma-informed services and interventions. But Ms. King stands out as a person who is focused not only on supporting the development of all of her students as learners, but as whole and healthy human beings, and it's really to be commended. Her approach to nurturing students is one that offers a model of community public education that really should be widely adopted. We enthusiastically support her application and the application for the charter at Kano. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Richardson.
Next speaker, Adrinda Kelly.
Can you hear me? Awesome. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Adrinda Kelly. My address is 410 Natchez Street, New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm the executive director of BNOLA, an organization that provides support to Black educators in our city. As an organization that is working to support our diverse educators to do their best work, I am here to enthusiastically support the application from community academies to run Foundation Prep Esperanza and Lafayette. Over the last year, we have been in partnership with Mary Alice and Foundation Prep to provide coaching and professional development to their leaders. As such, we've been able to spend a lot of time in their building and a lot of time with their staff. And based on that, there are a few things that I know. The DNA of Mary Alice's leadership, of the leadership of her team and staff, is a deep-seated belief that all children deserve an excellent education. Others have spoken about the love that you feel when you walk into Foundation Prep and some of the other schools. I've seen that commitment also come across in the community partnerships that Foundation Prep has put in place, including with my organization, as well as the commitment to support the staff of Foundation Prep and the other schools to do their best work. And so for me, one of the most compelling things about this application is just knowing that once Community Academies is formed, we will have an organization that is serving, among other populations, one of the largest proportions of ELL learners in our city. And I think we will have a lot to learn from their efforts and from what I anticipate will be their success. The merger of these organizations to form community academies, as others have noted, is a model for us. I want to commend everyone who's been involved in making that happen and for providing a blueprint for what it looks like to prioritize stability, community, and collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Christina Jones, and right after that is Larry Irving. And I believe you guys are together, so I'll give you two separate clocks.
Good afternoon, President of the Board, Ashley, members of the board, and panelists today. My name is Christina Jones, and I reside at 2223 Mandeville Street in New Orleans. Today, I come before you to enthusiastically support the application for the Community Academies charter organization that you've received. I am very well versed in understanding the leadership of Mary Alice and the team that she has assembled today for this new endeavor and for her original endeavor with Foundation Prep. Currently, I sit as a member of the Foundation Preparatory Board, and I am very proud to be a part of the decision to unite these two unique organizations into a new organization. I have the pleasure of working with Mary Alice currently as a Kellogg Fellow, and I've seen her leadership ability expand and grow. And I think she has demonstrated that she is well prepared to take on the challenge of shepherding forward for unique schools and for unique parts of the city. I'm particularly excited about this idea of cultivating community school. It's something that we have all as a city asked for, wanted for, and worked for. And I think this is a culmination of those ideas coming together into a well thought out plan. I think one of the things that most impresses me about watching Mrs. King as she has grown Foundation Prep is not only her thoughtfulness and the thoughtfulness of her team as it relates to addressing the needs of her students for social and emotional wellness, but also for exciting them about learning. As others have said, when you walk into prep currently, there's an energy and a love that is prevalent. I think that she has shown a great ability to pivot, and she's always pivoting in the direction to serve her students at a better rate and in a better place. And she is a great listener, and I think that she cares so much that she is very interested in ensuring that this school system, this charter management organization will move forward well. I think she's assembled a great team to do so. So I enthusiastically support this application.
Thank you, Ms. Jones.
All right, next speaker, Mr. Larry Irvin.
Sorry. Okay, go ahead.
My apologies. Got a call. Good evening, board. Want to fully acknowledge Dr. Lewis, board chair, Ashley. How we doing this evening? My name is Larry Irvin, CEO of Brothers in Power to Teach. Our premise is to incentivize and inspire more men of color to become educators here in New Orleans. Here to extend my full advocacy and support of Kano, the network, but more importantly, the leadership. Speak to the leadership, the intentional leadership. Mary Alice King. I met Mary Alice in 2014. She was actually our first school partner. Those of you who are familiar with the conversations and dialogues in the landscape around that time, the equity conversation was really picking up. More specifically, the conversation around representation in classrooms, particularly demographic representation of Black men leading from intellectual capacity. Mary Alice was our first school partner in 2014, and I think was really pertinent to this conversation. Around leadership and whether Kano can be successful or not is the disposition of the leader of that particular network. I think it's one thing to speak to the depth and breadth of Mary Alice's pedigree and her experience in education, but I think more importantly, what we need to see more of is people who have the combination of skill set, but also bring a disposition that put their values kids and puts kids first. And she showed us she not only had the skill set, but she had a disposition to around equity and wanted to show the intentional leadership by giving our young men an opportunity to come into foundation prep and also giving them the latitude to fail, which very seldom we don't get having this conversation around representation and Black men in the classroom. So we want to give full support to Kano and also extend our deepest appreciation for Mary Alice King in the education landscape in New Orleans. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker, Donald Berry.
Hello?
Yes, Mr.
Hey, Mr. Berry, we can hear you.
Okay, I'm like the college senior that says I don't think I can add to anything that's already been said, but I will say that my name is Don Beery, and I've been on the board at Choice Foundation. My home address is 1108 Joseph Street, New Orleans. And I want to wholeheartedly endorse the application charter.
Thank you, Mr. Berry.
Next speaker, Kate Warner.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Ms. Warner.
Okay, sorry, I'm sort of a Luddite when it comes to these things. First of all, I'd like to thank Mr. Chairman and the board for making this possible today and for all the time everybody spent in keeping things going during this difficult time. And especially thank Mrs. King and Mr. Fulton and the Foundation TREP and Choice Foundation boards and their teams for doing all they're doing to pull this together. I am in full support of this partnership. I have been a Choice Foundation board member for many years, and it has been a true pleasure. And watching what Mrs. King and her very well thought out team that she has assembled and continues to assemble can bring to the partnership to just enhance what the work Choice Foundation has done over the years, I think is definitely in the best interest of our students, our children, their families. The depth that Mrs. King and her team have gone into to try to explore and understand the Choice Foundation Schools culture, their families, their students, their practices. I have been nothing short of impressed with that. Mrs. King and her team, which I should now say really our team, it's been such a pleasure to get to know them and watch them in action. The dedication and the passion that they bring to it, and to see how they have done an excellent job of analyzing the strengths of what Lafayette Academy and Esperanza, the strengths that those schools have, and perhaps some of the challenges that those schools have, and the way that Mrs. King proposes to address those issues, again, continue to amaze me in a very good way. I think that Mrs. King has a very clear path going forward and a very big picture of how to continue to make these schools successes. And it again is with wholehearted yes that I endorse the partnership, and I thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Blair Duquesne.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Thank you for hearing this application today for the Community Academies of New Orleans. My name is Blair Duquesne. I am a member of the Choice Foundation Board. I reside at 2313 Broadway Street. I have been involved in the process at Choice to hire an executive director and then to explore the partnership between our organizations with Foundation Prep and Mary Alice King. I am also the mother of two very young children who may be in the background of my comments, so I apologize for that. But I am just here to endorse this application and the combining the talents of both of these organizations to serve our students. During the process of getting to know Mrs. King, I visited Foundation Prep and I looked in on classrooms at every grade at our schools at Lafayette and Esperanza. I can say that the one thing that probably hasn't been spoken to today is also her support of teachers and principals. She knows how to identify the right leaders at schools who will support the teachers in these endeavors as well. So she thinks about all of the stakeholders, and I really do think that we will be a strong organization working together with Kano. So I thank you for the opportunity to put in my comments.
Thank you so much.
Next speaker, Paul Irons.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Hi, everyone. Hi, board. This is Paul Irons. I'm with New Orleans Restoration Properties. We are a local real estate development firm, and I am a native of Holly Grove, and so is my partner, Marcia Delat, who's a native of Holly Grove. And we have been closely engaged with Holly Grove Neighbors Association, and namely Earl Williams, who is the community liaison for Kano. And we are currently working on an affordable housing plan development in the Holly Grove neighborhood, which we believe will be a catalyst for more investment and revitalization of the neighborhood. And one of our partnerships is with Kano and with teachers, and we are committed to providing quality housing for the teachers in that neighborhood. Our main alliance comes through a long relationship with Mr. Williams and the activism that he has done in Holly Grove for many different initiatives, such as the railroad and other developments that would have been negative for the community. And I've just known him for a long time, growing up in Holly Grove. So we're in support of Cano. We know the people there. We know the people there are about the people in the neighborhood. And we are in partnership and in favor and support of this initiative. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Downs, appreciate it.
Next speaker, Aaron Rigsby. After Mr. Rigsby is Lisa Marie Rhodes. I don't think Mr. Rigsby is joining us. I will begin for Ms. Rhodes.
Board members, Chairperson Ashley, Superintendent Dr. Lewis, board members, again, applicants, and all attendees, I want to say buenas tardes. My name is Lisa Maria Rhodes. I'm the founder and executive director of ALAS, a local nonprofit that trains educators to support immigrant and court-involved youth. I'm with you all today in enthusiastic support of the petition for partnership by Community Academies of New Orleans. As a high school teacher and social worker in Orleans Parish Schools for the last 11 years, I will give you a perspective from the longer-term impacts of appropriate supports. When we look at excellent local schools that have not yet mastered supporting immigrant students, we see disparities like this one. 74% of total graduates from a network of high schools continue to higher education, but when you take out from that number students who are undocumented, 0% continued. Appropriate trauma-informed support to change that, create access to higher education, career options, and social mobility for immigrant families like my own, who have come to the United States to pursue breaking the cycle of poverty. Cano has provided the most robust and therapeutically appropriate supports for immigrant students and families yet in our area. Approval of this petition by Community Academies means supporting access and opportunity for all of our youth. Thank you. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Ms. Rhodes.
The final speaker for Communities Academy of New Orleans is Charles Barnes.
Thank you. Can you all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen of the board, good afternoon. My name is Charles J. Barnes, founder and president of the board at South Coast Code. For the record, I reside at 4606 Painter Street, New Orleans, Louisiana. I have known and worked with the Reverend Earl F. Williams for the past decade, and Miss I hold them both in the utmost esteem and professional respect. South Coast Code promotes racial and gender equality in the fields of science, technology, engineering, math, STEM, by providing computer science education to underserved students in grades K through 8th. We work from the premise that computer science is a core competency that all students need as a foundation for future professional success. Our flagship program, NOLA Code, provides age-appropriate instruction in coding, computer engineering, circuitry, and rudimentary robotics to children across the greater New Orleans area. And among the 30 odd schools that we have worked with since 2014, since we taught our first hour of code, we have had one of our closest professional relationships with Foundation Prep under Ms. Mary Alice King's leadership, where we began teaching computer science to Foundation Prep students in 2017. We have also separately worked with Choice Foundation, where we provided students at Dunbar, Esperanza, and Lafayette with introductory computer science workshops during Computer Science Education Week in 2018. Now, as many of you may know, computer science is an unaccredited subject matter for TOPS university track students. Thus, many students are many schools are disincentivized to teaching it. However, we all approve of Ms. Mary Alice King's forward thinking in offering this core competency, this core subject matter to their students for their to the furthest extent possible, and we enthusiastically endorse Kano's application and respectfully encourage the board to approve it. Thank you very, very much. Have a
Thank
good
you.
afternoon.
Thank you. The comments for in support of Generations Academy, the first speaker being Afi Kenny. Following Mr. Kenny is Leonis Williams. After Leonis Williams is Barbara Hornsby. If you could please raise your hand so I can activate your speaker.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Afi Kenny. My address is 3718 Parga Street, New Orleans, Louisiana, 70122. I'm a parent liaison for Generation Success. I have 3 children who are all receiving tutoring service with Generation Success. They are all a testament to the claim Generation Success makes about helping children advance academically by 2 or more school years in 1 year. My 4th grader is currently able to help my 8th grader with her math homework, and my 10th grade son is an AB student in gifted arts. All thanks to the dedicated team at Generation Success who go above and beyond to give them the support they need to grow academically and mentally. If allowed, I would also like to read the statement of 2 other parents on their behalf who could not be here due to work but still want to voice their support since they also have children receiving services at Generation Success. Is that okay?
Please go ahead.
Okay, first is Letitia Brown. Her statement is, I'm so happy that Brandy and Generation Success helped my son. He was about to fail out of school until her tutoring program stepped in. Now my baby has graduated with the class of 2020. I love them. Next is Denisha Portis. Her statement is, I searched for a place that wouldn't make my baby feel like he was special or different. Generation Success did that for us. We really needed the encouragement and love they all provided. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Kenny.
Next speaker, Leonis Williams, followed Miss Leonis Williams as Barbara Hornsby.
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, my name is Leonis Williams III. I currently live at 6631 Wells Street, New Orleans, Louisiana, 70126. Good afternoon, board and audience. It is not often that a student uses their voice to do something like this, so please excuse my nerves. I want to explain why I believe all students should benefit from Generation Success. As an 11th grade student at St. Augustine High School, I struggled. I did not believe in myself and truly wanted to give up. Generation Success helped me to find my passion and my purpose. All students deserve that. All students need it too. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Appreciate your brave speech in this moment.
Thank you.
Next speaker, Barbara Hornsby. After Ms. Hornsby, Sherilyn Brunch.
Good afternoon. I'd like to thank the board for hearing our proposal today for our charter. My name is Barbara Hornsby. I am the treasurer of Generation Success. I have entered into this position because I am truly believing that Generation Success is the way to help a lot of students. We're not just helping students pass tests, we're actually empowering students to feel good about themselves. And a large percentage of education is self-awareness of the child. And I feel that Generation Success will provide the tools that these children will need to find their self-awareness, to understand that they can do anything they put their mind to. It is our position that Generation Success will provide the tools to bring our children to the levels they need to go and beyond the levels. I thank you for giving us the time to bring you our presentation of Generation Success. We are looking forward to your decision. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sherilyn, you should be able to speak now. Thank you.
This is Sherilyn Branch. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I live at 3101 Napoleon Avenue, and thank you for taking my call. I am president of the board for Generation Success, and I'd like to thank the board members and board chair with Orleans Parish, and along with the superintendent, for hearing us today. As a new entity, our target areas would be Gentilly and New Orleans East, although we are flexible. The opportunity to serve every student with every gift, promising one amazing future, is not just our vision, it's who we are. Our goal is to invest in the future of our community by providing equity, voice, and choice in education, targeting middle and high school students, depending on the options available in 2021. We've piloted our programs with the NORD summer programs, after school programs for schools, and also as pull-out programs. And so we believe in a holistic approach of supporting both the academic rigor and social-emotional learning for children. All students, we believe, will have personalized learning plans, that's our plan, and with tiered support. We believe in our proposed school leader, Ms. Brandy Williams. She is a product of New Orleans Public Schools, McDonough 35, and I shall say her passion and belief in the children we serve is unparalleled. Brandy is a strong, committed, and intentional leader. We would propose a new school in 2021 and serve students in New Orleans East if chosen. We'd like to thank you for this opportunity. I strongly believe in what this school may offer, Generation Success, for the success of our children. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. The next speaker is Brianna Harvey. Following Ms. Harvey is Ashley Brown.
Hello.
Okay, great. My name is Brianna Harvey. My address is 2421 North Robertson Street, and I am the secretary on the board for Generation Success. And I am really excited to speak with you all today, so thank you for having me. I met Brandy actually through 4.0 schools, where I've been.
Excuse me, Brianna, can you speak up a little, please? So we can hear you.
Okay.
We could hear you now. You're clear.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. So I met Brandy through 4.0 schools, where we stress and focus on making sure that folks, when they do have an idea that they're pursuing in education, start first with students and families at the table. And that is one of the reasons that I admire Brandy so much, because she is constantly focusing on making sure that she's moving forward with community in mind. And so for that reason, I was excited to join her board. And once I joined her board, I learned even more about the many reasons that I have respect and admiration for her, but also excitement about Generation Success. What excites me most is that, now more than ever, especially in this pandemic, I am seeing the importance of starting with the person. And I really want children to feel valued and respected and seen as people first. And so I just am so inspired by our commitment to teaching and learning with social emotional development and growth as a focus, because I in my experience, have been in environments where that was not the focus and have suffered. So I am excited again to come before you today just to name my support for Brandy and for Generation Success, and just thank you for taking this time to hear.
Thank you so much.
Yes, the last speaker is Ashley Brown. I'm not sure Ms. Brown is joining us. That concludes the comment cards that were submitted before the 30 minutes of the start of the meeting.
Thank you so much. And I thank you to the public who took the time to articulate their and express their comments on today. I really appreciate it, particularly during this time of COVID and getting on virtually. It's very difficult at times. You guys are doing a really good job in this moment. So we just really want to say thank you on behalf of the board. And at this time, if there are no further comments, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. By
I have a
Leslie.
motion from Ms. Ellison. Can I get a second?
Second from Koppel.
I have a second from Mr. Koppel. I'll yield to board counsel for roll call vote.
Mr. Ashley,
Yes.
Mr. Brown, Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Miss Ellison,
Yes.
Mr. Cleben,
Yes.
Mr. Koppel,
Yes.
Mr. Marshall,
Yes.
Miss Newell Houston.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. We are adjourned. Thank you, guys.